I didn't really feel like it. I rescheduled it to tonight, but of course tonight is the football game, so I just gone, I just went on decided to get out of the way this morning with everything else that I do, live streaming and stuff like that. So I'm here, man. There's a lot of talk going on, but I wanted to talk about the big question that I want to, that I've been hearing a lot of, not the big question, but a lot of things that I've been hearing. A lot of people are saying that, Charleston White can do all the things that he do because he's protected by Trump and MAGA. How many people in the chat? I'm laughing. It might be true. You know what I'm saying? That he can do all the things that he do because he's protected by Trump and MAGA. And then number two, long as he don't disrespect, like he got a whole lot of backlash when he disrespected Charlie Kirk. Y'all know they canceled some shows. He just about got canceled by the Upper Room. The Upper Room is the guys up there. He almost got canceled behind that. I ain't gonna talk about that much because I got this on my mind now about Donald Trump always receiving a lot of death threats, right, chat? A lot of people, we've been seeing this threat on Trump, that threat on Trump. Now the latest threat is that when he was in Turkey, he had to abandon the Air Force One. They snuck him off onto another plane. Meanwhile, leaving everybody else that was on the plane, Marco Rubio and the rest of the troops, left them on the plane to go after they received threats that plane was going to get hit by supposedly an Iranian missile. That's what's been going on, Chad. They secretly moved. You see that bubble right there? They secretly took Trump off of that plane because they had received information that Iran supposedly was going to strike that plane and take everybody out. But the thing is, what everybody is saying now, what I'm thinking with God dog, why did they just take him off? You know what I'm saying? And then, and didn't remove everybody else. Why just him? Why he's gone? Because they got him off the plane. They got Trump off the plane secretly. All this happened in Turkey when he went to Turkey. They was about to get ready to strike that plane. That's what the word is out there. Trump getting all these attempts on his life, bro. It's probably about how many now? Close to 10? Close to 10. If I can just go off the top of my head, I know it's close to 10. What, 1 or 2 times before he got in office, somebody's trying to eliminate Trump, man. Chat, somebody's trying to eliminate Trump. In the Trump administration and the Republicans, they say it's Iran. So this is getting ugly, man. Eventually, if this keeps happening and all this is true, eventually, they're gonna catch up with him. They tried it at the UFC fight. Yeah, it's a lot of times, bro. They tried to do it. They stopped the assassination at the UFC fight. The celebration UFC 250. While we was having a good time, while we were having a good time and watching the fight, the CIA and our intelligence agencies, shout out to them, were investigating and stopping terrorists from striking UFC 250 right there on the White House lawn. They had snipers staked out. They was going to distract everybody with a bomb. And then the sniper was going to do what he got to do. We've been hearing about all these assassination attempts on Donald Trump, right, Chad? We've been hearing it. And they're happening frequently, a lot. I hope they are not successful, because if they are successful and they actually pull through and pull it off, because we already know they tried. What was that? That was a rally, yeah, at the Trump rally before he got elected. They tried it then, but they barely missed. Barely. It's just a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot going on. Man, just think about Chad. If it is successful, if they are successfully able to pull this out, because guess what? If you keep on trying to get your target and you keep trying, keep trying, and every time they're this close, and they keep trying, and eventually it happens. A lot of people, Chad, are starting to not to like Donald Trump. A lot of people are saying that the things, the America First and all these agendas, all this stuff he told us, he's actually going against the grain. Even a lot of people in the Republican Party, a lot of conservatives are talking. He went against the grain, right? So, man, it's a lot going on in the world, bro. It's a lot going on. Wow, you know, we're getting ready for football. It's a game tonight. I had to hurry up and knock this live out because I was supposed to did it last night. Appreciate everybody that's in here right now. Let me see. Let me check out, because before I get started with this, let me make sure everything ready to rock and roll. Yeah. If you in here, bro, you got to let me know, man, because last night you said that like you was blocked, but this is the Freedom of Speech channel. We don't block nobody over here. So if somebody is getting blocked, you got to let me know so I can figure out what's going on, because I don't block nobody, and I really don't give out that many wrenches. So in other words, I'm not really that savvy when it comes to blocking and giving wrenches. I'm not really that savvy because I don't do it. I give a few people the wrenches, figure it out real quick, and then I'm going by my business. But I'm glad, Yaya, that you did tell me, you know, so it made me go and look at my block list, right? And there was one person in there that I really don't communicate with no more online. So I you know, since I don't mess with the blocking stuff, he was still a moderator. So I had to go and take him out of there. But there's nobody on the block list at all, because this is the Freedom of Speech channel, and we don't block nobody over here. So let me make sure, because I don't know if your comments are not showing up, but I'm looking at my comments through the streaming service. So sometimes, you know, my comments don't come through. Sometimes, you know, I got to reboot it and stuff like that, because I be paying attention basically what I'm saying. You know, that's what I do. You know, so I don't block nobody over here. There's no reason for me to block nobody. This is the Freedom of Speech channel. So I don't have no reason to block nobody over here. Just hold up, chat. Okay, one comment did come in. I'm Richard. Can I get some riches? Well, you're gonna have to get you some riches. This is what you got to do. You have to find you a high income earning skill. You know, you got to go to school. You got to learn some things, and then you got to go to work like everybody else. You know, you got to spend less, and you got to learn how to invest your money. That's what you got to learn how to do. And then after you do that, Ricardo, after you do that, you teach it to your kids and your grandkids and the people that you love. And it takes time to shine. You got to understand that if you're coming from zero, you have to find you something you love to do. And whatever you love to do, you have to make sure that, you know, you want to get rich, you got to make sure it's a high income earning skill. And then once you get that, make sure your bills are minimum or none at all. And you act like you stack it, and you act like you broke. Then you learn how to invest. While you're doing this process, you learn how to invest. And then that's how you do it. And it take time to shine, Ricardo. It take time to shine. That's why they ass behind. What's up, chat? What's up, chat? I'm your host, the one on the Stock Sniper. This is the Freedom of Speech channel. Thank everybody for coming through, rocking with me. Wherever you watching from, whether it's Kick, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Rumble, Twitch. You know, we live on 5 different platforms, 2 different YouTube channels, and 3 different platforms. Well, we try to go live everywhere, chat. I'm going to create a TikTok. You know, I want to go live on Instagram too, but to hook it up to, you know, this streaming service, I got to go through 3 different stages. And you know what? Success loves speed, right? I don't have time to go through all those different stages to go live on Instagram through the streaming service. So I got plugged in what I need to have plugged in until I figure out another streaming service. We're going to stick with this one. It's working pretty good for us. Self-love, what's up? Good morning. Appreciate you for coming through, rocking with us. Appreciate you. But yeah, if you are in the chat some kind of way, if anybody see because he say, you know, that he can't see his comments in the chat. So let me go over here before we get this show ready to rock and roll, chat, man. There's a lot been going on. I don't see you yet. I got this up. I know it's kind of early, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of early. I gotta knock this live out because tonight is the football game, you know what I'm saying? So we gotta go and knock it out. But yeah, chat, somebody is trying to assassinate Donald Trump. We know this already. It's happening over and over and over and over again. And guess what? It just happened. Iran putting belt to ass. What's up, Big Six? What's up, the Don? Appreciate you for coming through. What's going on, chat? We about to get ready to rock this show. Appreciate y'all for joining me. This is the Freedom of Speech channel. We don't block nobody over here. You comment, speak your mind. Whatever you think, speak your mind. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about over here. I'm not going to block nobody. And moderators already know we don't block over here. You know what I'm saying? We rock the show. This is the Freedom of Speech channel. You come over here, speak your mind. So we're going to see what they're saying about what this threat is. They're trying to knock off Donald Trump. If you don't know, Donald Trump was on Air Force One, and they got intelligence. Allegedly, they got intelligence that somebody was going to shoot a missile at Air Force One, chat. If that would have happened, bro, it would have got. That's why I say all the time on the channel, you have to get prepared, chat. You have to get prepared because I know the last time a U.S. president got assassinated, I wasn't born. It was J.F. Kennedy. That was a long, long time ago. So, matter of fact, I'm going to look that up, chat. I'm going to look that up. I think it was in the 60s. When did JFK... Okay, I'm about to look it up, chat. 1963. Hold up, let me show y'all. The last time a president was assassinated, an American president, was 1963. So that was, wow, a long time ago. That was almost 63 years ago. That was almost 63 years ago. So I wasn't even born. Probably a lot of y'all that's in this chat was not born. Well, now let me rephrase that because YouTube told me that 60% of the people that watch this channel, most of the people that watch this channel are over 60. So a lot of y'all, if the YouTube numbers are right, a lot of y'all was born was around in 63. Me, I wasn't. I'll be 53 years old in 2 days. Today is August the 13th. I'll be 53 years old, 2 days. So this happened in 63. This happened in 63. 63 years ago. That's when this happened. That's the last time an American president was assassinated. What's up, chat? What's up, chat? Appreciate everybody for coming through. Do me a favor and double tap the screen. Double tap the screen. Let me know what you think. All these assassination attempts on Donald Trump. What do you think the chances are that eventually they might get him? It's a lot of they're trying a lot. They're doing any and everything they can, from the UFC fight to Air Force One to all the rallies, golf course, everywhere Donald Trump is going, chat. Everything Donald Trump loves to do, they are trying to get him. That's some crazy shit. Barry, you fake. Fake. You think it's fake? I hope you're right, Barry. We better pray that it's fake. We better pray that, like they say on YouTube, it's a play. Yeah. Like they say on YouTube, a play, like Charleston White running plays, doing all this stuff for clout. Yeah, we love you, Trump. Yeah, we hope that Trump is just running a play. We hope that Trump is just running a play, chat. That's what we hope. Because guess what? If it's true and it actually really happens, guess what, chat? We have no idea what's going to happen. We have no idea what would happen because I won't have no idea, because I wasn't around when Kennedy got assassinated. I wasn't around. So that'll be absolutely something new, chat. And right now, to be honest with y'all, chat, my opinion, America doesn't need that right now. America doesn't need that right now, because we are still suffering from the COVID thing. COVID, even though we don't really think about it that much, even though we think it's gone, a lot of people are still suffering from COVID, from the effects of COVID. So we had one big episode, and then if that happens, that will crush America. That will crush America. So yeah, chat, the last American that was the last American president that was assassinated, JFK, November 22nd, 1963. So let's go over here, chat. Appreciate y'all for joining me. We got 57 people in the building. Thank y'all for rocking with me. We finna run the show. Let's go. Take off that hat and get a job. Ham, appreciate you for commenting, but I'm retired. I already put the work in, Ham. You know I'm an old man, right? I'm retired. I already put the work in. So appreciate you for the comment. Happy birthday, Barry. You say your brother's August the 15th. Happy birthday. Subscribe to the channel and come rock with me on August the 15th. I will be going live. It's a lot of UFC fights going on that day. And we will be going live, Barry. Subscribe to the channel. And on August the 15th, if you got a little time, come rock with us while I watch a little bit of UFC. Oh, shoot. Wait, hold up, Chad.
The same is true for the military members as well.
Military staff members, so forth. Yeah. So the deception even included Air Force One retaining its call sign and then the plane actually carrying the president using a common military call sign. How many people do you think were aware of this route?
My bad, Chad. I didn't flip it. So we was sitting here on Google and I was listening to the video. So my bad, Chad. I didn't flip it. I didn't change it.
As the president traveled to England.
It's pretty clear that the number that knew about it at the time was very small. And one of the reasons they did that, I think, was to minimize the threat to the president. What they wanted to do was they wanted to make sure that the president could get out of Turkey as safely as possible. And they thought the threat in Turkey itself was probably at a pretty high level because of Iran's threats against the president. That's the only logical determinant here. Now, it could not just be Iran. It could have been proxy militias from Iraq that were active in Turkey. All these things are possible sources of this threat. But having said that, it's pretty clear that using a different call sign was a clear indicator that they wanted to not only protect that aircraft, so the threat may not have just been a surface-to-air threat. It may have been an air-to-air threat, whether it was another airplane, a drone, those kinds of things we don't know. But those are at least some possibilities that could have been in this case.
Do you know if Secret Service game plans these scenarios in advance, and so this was something they already knew that they could carry out if they needed to, or do you think they came up with it sort of on the fly as the threat emerged?
Yeah, they certainly game planned certain aspects of this, and years ago I was involved in Air Force One route planning for President Clinton, just on a peripheral basis. But it's pretty clear that Air Force works with the Secret Service. They work with all the intelligence agencies to get a whole threat picture of where the president is going, and if there's any deviation in the president's plan, then they change the intelligence that the president gets and update that intelligence for that purpose. But in this particular case, I think they game plan some of this, but then they're also innovative enough on the Secret Service's side to move him as quickly as possible, and I think that's what happened. And the use of the catering truck is, I think, fairly innovative, and they may have had the help of Turkish intelligence in this case as well, in order to use local facilities in order to make this happen.
I mean, these are obviously extraordinary security measures, but it's not the first time.
They said they used the catering truck to secretly get Trump up out of there. A catering truck.
But there's been subterfuge with the president's movement, right?
Yeah, that's true, because, for example, in the year 2000, President Clinton was traveling between India and Pakistan, and they actually put him on an unmarked plane to go between those two countries, and that was done for security reasons. In the wake of 9/11, when President Bush was leaving the Sarasota, Florida area after the attacks on the Twin Towers and the Pentagon, he was flown around, but he never left Air Force One, so he stayed in that airplane because at that time the threat was judged to be one that could be handled by that Air Force One aircraft. So there have been efforts to move the president around, sometimes quietly, sometimes in his public transport mode. But the key thing here is protecting the president. That's job one for the Secret Service, and they certainly did that in this case.
Robert McDonald is a retired Secret Service.
Okay, Barry, you say Donald Trump is just running a play, like they say. He's just running a play.
Agent. He joins us live now to discuss. Thanks for being with us. Welcome to The Story Is.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Do you know of any other incident in American history where the president was secretly flying on an alternative plane and told the press he was on their plane?
I don't know of any specific situation like that, but I do know of a couple of incidents where some deception was done in order to protect our president. One was in 2000 with President Clinton departing India and going to Pakistan. And the second one was President Bush going to Afghanistan in 2004. I happened to be assigned to the Protective Operations Office during that time. And that secret was kept very tight within only a few number of people within the Secret Service. I found out about it by watching television just before Thanksgiving dinner. So the secrecy aspect here of this shell game that was played is obviously in response to, with some creativity and making sure that the Secret Service is not complacent with respect to the very high threat level that's out there now, both domestically and internationally.
We know for years that Iran has talked about the idea of killing the American president. We know that America just killed the Iranian leader. What kind of threat would prompt something like this? And talk about how a decision like this is made. Who makes the call to do this?
Well, I think obviously some information was gleaned while the president was in Turkey for that summit. And then the meeting of the minds takes place between the White House staff, the military office assigned to the White House, and the Secret Service. All three of those entities work in concert with each other anytime the president moves anywhere, whether it's in DC, domestically, or internationally. All of those entities work on logistics, security, transportation, communication. It's a traveling roadshow wherever the president goes, and all three of those entities would have been involved with respect to that decision to go into this shell game decision here to get the president to England and then subsequently back to the United States.
So right after that flight, President Trump got on the new Air Force One and was flying with the media, did a gaggle talking with them, and they were asked about why they weren't flying on the new plane from Qatar earlier. Here's what he said at the time.
You're saying there wasn't a security concern?
No. Why would they?
Do you know why they had us close our window blinds? That was not usual.
Well, yeah, because you're probably on a dangerous flight because of the sleaze bags that we have to deal with.
So you think that Iran was possibly thinking, trying
Well, I mean, if they asked you to close your windows, probably they feel that way. They didn't ask me to close mine, but if they did, I would have done it.
Were you aware of any credible threat by Iran against Air Force
Well, I have
One?
a threat all the time. I'm number one on their list before you. But if I go, you go, right?
But was there a specific
So
threat today?
perhaps someday you want to change professions.
Wow.
Of course, he was not on that plane when he was the.
Y'all heard that, Chad? What he told the people in the press? If I go, you go. They want me.
Number one threat. So if I go, you go was not necessarily a thing. We know that President Trump does not like.
But I want to point something out right here, Chad. I'm gonna put it back on there in a second. While all this is going on, right? Guess what's happening? Shout out to everybody that invest in the stock market. Shout out to everybody that has a job and participates in the company 401k plan. While all this is going on, guess what's happening? The S&P 500 is over $775 right now, getting ready to get close to hitting $780. Look at this. While all this is going on, stock market is reaching all-time highs as of right now. Shout out to all the investors. I just had to break in right there and point that out. Shout out to all the investors.
What do you make of this coming out? This idea of him sort of going in a beverage cart and hiding? and the reaction to that, and sort of where we go from here after this becoming public?
Well, respectfully, I don't think I would say that he was hiding in the beverage cart. I think that they were using that vehicle to transport him in a clandestine fashion, so as to not let this cat out of the bag, if you will, for the protective mission that was going to be done. Look, the Secret Service has to be creative. We've had almost 2.5 years now since Butler. We've had a lot of attempts. Secret Service is doing a good job every day, but they've had some issues that they've had to deal with. The optics of some of the things that they've been doing, the complacency that they've been accused of. So look, this, quite frankly, was very creative. It worked. Now, there's going to be questions now with respect to what security was provided for each of the other two 747s, where people were still flying on that plane representing the United States, press, White House staff. I'll leave that to you and your colleagues to continue asking those hard questions of the White House and the president to see what more we can find out with respect to that area. But the main thing here is that the president got home safe. It may not have looked pretty. It may have been a little bit ugly and a little bit non-transparent, but the president got home safe, especially in this very high threat environment which we're seeing right now.
My next guest, our senior national security analyst, Juliet Kayyem. Juliet, thank you so much for being with us. I mean, obviously there are threats against presidents quite a bit. You know, this is not something that never happens, but, you know, for Secret Service.
Wait, hold up. Okay.
And I guess for the CIA, how do you differentiate between just another threat versus a threat that is credible enough to sort of be on high alert, and a threat that is so credible that you go to the lengths of, you know, implementing some kind of decoy and moving the president into a catering car and onto another plane?
That's right. Look, and what's not being sort of discussed is that threats don't exist in a vacuum. The threat that the Secret Service was worried about was obviously because of the war that the United States started. But more importantly, it was worried, or the Secret Service was worried, because the plane that the president had chosen to use, a plane gifted by a foreign country that many of us had rightful concerns about its security, was not an adequate counter offense. And so that is why this whole, I mean, we're talking about 3 airplanes now. Originally the gifted one, then it turned to the old one, and then the secret one that we're just learning about. So I'm not denying that there is a threat against the president, but the threat was elevated because he was more vulnerable in this new plane. I think the second thing, I'm going to be a little bit more direct than our fabulous reporter.
Wow, Chad, did y'all hear what she said? They used 3 different planes to get Trump up out of there. 3 different planes. The new one, the old one, and then a different one. 3 different planes to get him up out of there. A lot of people in the chat are saying it's just a play, as they call it, that it ain't, you know, it's fake. I hope it is fake, because, man, if this is true and they actually really get him, just think about what's really going to happen. Just think about what's really going to happen.
Reporters. So the idea that you would leave reporters, civilians, staff, administrative staff, the pilots vulnerable as sort of an acceptable loss, as we say in war, to protect the president is unprecedented and really needs to be discussed. If the threat was real, people were put on an airplane with no knowledge, believing that the threat is elevated because the president is on the plane, but not agreeing to be a decoy for a president who was not on the plane.
You know, this might be an unfair question for me to ask you live on television, just sort of put you on the spot, but then, you know, how should this have been handled? So, for example, there's a credible threat against Air Force One. You can't have the president take that plane. You don't necessarily want the reporters and the staffers and the pilot to be put in any danger. What are you supposed to do? That literally, that might be a bigger discussion, and you might need some time to think about that.
The scenario I imagine, I asked myself this is,
wait, hold up, Chad. We only got 10 likes. YouTube, we only got 10 likes. We got 140 people in the building, and we only got 10 likes. Come on, y'all, do me a favor. Double tap the screen. We got 140 people in the building. We only got 10 likes on YouTube. Y'all do me a favor, YouTube, and double tap the screen. This right here is something that we need to discuss. You know, some people think it's just a play. You know, some people think it's just made up. But then look, man, what if it's not? And one of these days, they actually make it happen and do the unthinkable. Just imagine what would happen if something unfortunate like that and an American president gets assassinated in 2026. We got 140 people in the building. Y'all do me a favor, man, and double thank y'all. Yeah. Let's get the likes up. We got 140 people in the building. We should have at least 70 likes. Because, you know, I really don't ask for likes, stuff like that. I just, you know, we just talk about what we talk about. But we got 140 people in the building. You know, we what? Hold up. Wow, that was wild, Chad. Hold up. That was crazy, Chad. That was crazy. But anyway, yeah, we got 140 people in the building, and we only got 15 likes. Come on, Chad. Let's get the likes up. Double tap the screen, double tap the screen, double tap the screen. If you rocking with the channel, this is the Freedom of Speech channel. I'm your host, the one only Stock Sniper. Double tap the screen. Double tap the screen, Chad. Barry, trust me, my brother. It's all fake. I hope you're correct. I hope it's just a play, as they say, running a play. I hope it's just a play, because if it's real and they end up being successful, woo! Think about that, Chad. America cannot handle a major outcome like that. America cannot handle something major like that at this particular time. In my opinion, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't know, but I'm thinking that if something like that would actually happen, it would absolutely crush America, in my opinion. So let's keep it going, Chad. Let's keep it going.
you basically just buy yourself 4 hours as the president, because he's in Turkey. He wasn't in like on Mars. Turkey is very close to Germany. You can get him on a third plane, as they did. Say that the flight is delayed, say that the president is delayed, get him into safe territory, and then you move people later. But that would have been the option. And I mean that seriously. I mean, when you're thinking through, do we really want to put reporters, staff, the pilots as a decoy, which is essentially what they're doing, rather than admit that there is a threat 4 hours later, get him out of Turkey to Germany. That's easy. It's an easy flight. And then begin the process of returning him back to the United States, which would have been much easier from the sort of safe haven of Germany or London or Paris. You choose your European capital. So I do think there was a solution. And I think, my concern is that the president and the Secret Service in doing this have really sort of opened up a Pandora's box and a really sort of, difficult conversation about what they were willing to do to protect a president whose elevated vulnerability was because of the original plane. We cannot forget that. It was his choice to choose a foreign plane. And that's when the Secret Service said, look, he's not safe in this plane, that then led to this story.
The US and Israel launched strikes on Iran nearly 6 months ago. Donald Trump has repeatedly declared victory while also claiming a deal is just around the corner. But a top advisor to the commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is now indicating that Tehran is the one calling the shots and could actually prolong the war until the US president is out of office. That hasn't stopped Trump from ramping up his own rhetoric. He's now threatening to blow Iran away if it tries to do anything, and he's still insisting that the US controls the Strait of Hormuz. But shipping data is not backing that up. One maritime intelligence firm says that only 14 vessels crossed the strait on Tuesday. Obviously, that is a dramatic decrease from pre-war levels. And in what may be another sign that Washington and Tehran remain far apart diplomatically, Iran is shaking up its military leadership. This week, 6 hardliners were elevated to top security positions. It's a move that could suggest Iran's new command may...
Wait, hold on, Chad. Appreciate y'all for joining me, Chad. We're about to switch it up right here. Did y'all know that the White House press secretary resigned? The White House press secretary resigned. Hold on, Chad. Give me a second. The White House press secretary resigned. The White House press secretary resigned. Excuse me, Chad, I got a lot going on right today. I got a lot going on right now. This right here is my light, right, Chad? Appreciate y'all for being in the building. We got 140 people. This right here is my light. I've never heard music come up out of this. Guess what happened, Chad? We was, reacting to what's going on around the world with the Donald Trump situation. And guess what happened? All of a sudden, music came on. Out of this, all of a sudden. Now, I've had this thing for about a year. And there is a way that you can hook it up to your phone or to your radio, but I never did do it. For some reason today, I know if you was here, you heard it. Music automatically came on. Music automatically came on. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. Excuse the noise, Chad. The people are cutting the grass outside. So excuse the noise. The lawn service is outside. But it automatically came on. Crazy. That's why I cut the light off, because we're in the middle of the live and I heard music come on. I say, hold up. I don't know what's going on, Chad. They already say that they listening to us and watching us through these phones and through these computers. Some crazy stuff going on with this technology, Chad. Hey, when did the resignation first go public? Okay, oh, you don't hear it? Okay, cool. Y'all don't hear the lawn service out there? Cool. That's great. Okay, the White House press secretary. Okay, they stopped now for a second. The White House press secretary resigned. So we're going to listen to her last speech. We're going to listen to her last speech. Let's see where it's at. Boom, right here. This is our last address right here. Appreciate y'all for joining me, chat. We got 100 people in the building. What's up to Don? What's up to Don? Y'all do me a favor and double tap the screen. Double tap the screen for us, chat. Hold on, chat.
Round 2, celebrating free speech and the First Amendment alongside all of you, members of the media. The president looks forward to finishing what he started before a despicable assassination attempt derailed the original event back in April, as we all know. And I encourage everyone watching tomorrow night to tune in for what promises to be a very entertaining and memorable evening. Looking ahead to next week, On Monday, President Trump will travel to Michigan to deliver remarks on the economy. On Tuesday afternoon, the president will deliver a tribute honoring the life and legacy of his dear friend, Senator Lindsey Graham, at the National Cathedral. And next Friday, the president will host the 13th cabinet meeting of this term at Camp David, which will be a lot of fun and something different for the cabinet to experience together. Turning now to the economy. A little more than a year after President Trump signed the Working Families Tax Cuts into law, this historic legislation continues to deliver on its promise, unleashing a genuine boom for American workers, families, and small businesses. The numbers speak for themselves. This was the biggest tax refund season in American history, with the average refund exceeding $3,400, an 11% increase over the last year. American families and workers claimed $82 billion in direct tax relief, and 97% of filers received a tax cut. More than 29 million workers claimed no tax on overtime. More than 35 million seniors claimed no tax on Social Security. And nearly 8 million workers claimed no tax on tips. Thanks to the other pro-growth provisions in the Working Families Tax Cuts, like making the 20% small business tax deduction permanent and delivering 100% expensing for new factories, equipment, and research, the Trump administration is setting up American manufacturers and workers to thrive like never before. Just this week, the National Association of Manufacturers, which is the largest manufacturing association in the country, released a detailed report showing exactly how these tax cuts are driving investment, job creation, innovation, and long-term growth in all 50 states. In fact, I'd like to take a moment to highlight just a few of the real American businesses that this law is helping. Pivot Manufacturing in Arizona made the largest equipment purchase in company history after the Trump tax cuts gave them the long-term certainty to invest with confidence. Winton Machine Company in Georgia is on pace for the best year in its history. Ketchy Inc. in North Carolina was able to purchase new machinery and expand its workforce by 25%. And Juergens in Ohio expanded its brand new facility to increase production. And they're also paying their workers even more thanks to the no tax on overtime provision. These are not just great statistics. These are American businesses with the confidence to grow, hire, and invest right here at home rather than offshoring their jobs. And a business opening or expanding in this country means more opportunity and higher wages for American workers. It means a chance for the American dream for young families, and it means restoring the belief that we can make and build things right here at home. This is what President Trump promised, and it's exactly what he is delivering with the help of Republicans in Congress. Democrats throw around the word affordability a lot. But when they had the chance to vote for the largest middle-class tax cuts in history, they refused. If Democrats got their way, it would have meant the largest tax increase in history, $4 trillion. 90% of Americans would have seen their taxes go up, and it would have been a complete disaster for our economy. That's the Democrat solution to, quote, affordability. It is raising your taxes. So I hope the press will cover more of the massive success stories resulting from the Working Families Tax Cuts and point out that every single Democrat on Capitol Hill voted against every single common sense provision that put more money back into the pockets of the American people. Finally, on the energy front, after this briefing, President Trump will participate in a historic ratepayer protection pledge event at the EPA headquarters down the street. The president will expand the ratepayer protection pledge to governors, state legislatures, developers, and power providers to.
Hey, what's up, Robin 2 Fitness? Now they don't want you to travel to see how much you actually can live life out of America. You know, I've been thinking about that. As I stop it right here, chat, I had to, that's a good comment right there. A lot of people have been talking about that. And a lot of people have been going to other countries, and it's actually a whole lot cheaper. Beautiful countries that are a whole lot cheaper than America. The only thing is, America is the land of milk and honey, but a lot of people are going to other countries and saying, hey, especially if they got income coming in, they got income coming in off the internet. If they're retired military soldier, I know retired military soldiers that are living overseas now, Vietnam, other different countries, and it's actually really, 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 really cheap out there. Paying $5 for a phone bill, paying $5 for a high-level meal if you go to a restaurant. Real cheap out there. Nice, good-looking places. So yeah, man. So I was just thinking about that for the past week, and I was thinking about doing a live about that, having, to talk to the people about how cheap it is in other countries. But America is the land of milk and honey. But a lot of retired people, veterans, people that make money off the internet, particularly like YouTube, they are moving out of America to live cheaper.
Ensure that everyone involved in building and powering data centers pays their own way, instead of passing those costs on to hardworking families. The president will be joined by Energy Secretary Chris Wright, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, and several governors who have already signed on to this pledge. And it has already proven to be remarkably successful. Nearly 200 additional stakeholders have signed on since it was first announced, including utilities, data center developers, public power authorities, co-ops, and state governors. As a result, the pledge now covers 80% of all the power delivered to American homes and businesses. President Trump's bold leadership is turning data centers from a source of concern into engines of growth and opportunity for communities across this country, all while cementing America's dominance over China in the global AI race. The president is ensuring the American people are never left footing the bill so private companies can benefit. Instead, President Trump is leveraging the data center boom to deliver real, tangible benefits for working families and small businesses. So we have a busy day here, rest assured. I'll take some questions. And here in our new media seat, we have Cam from Town Hall. Cam, thank you for being here. Why don't you kick us off today?
Thank you. Two quick questions. One on Congress. First off, Speaker Mike Johnson passed a continuing resolution earlier this week. John Thune has said he wants to work with Democrats to find a way to fund the government. What is the White House's stance on the best way to keep the government funded?
Well, the White House's stance is that the government needs to be funded. This president and Republicans on Capitol Hill from both chambers, as you just mentioned, the House and the Senate Republicans want to keep the government open. We want to work together to find ways to do that, and the White House will continue to have discussions with Senate leadership on the best path forward. I don't want to get ahead of those conversations, but the most important thing for the American people to know is that this president and this White House wants the government to remain open, unlike the Democrats in this town who have been acting as obstructionists. We've seen time and time again, they have chosen to block this administration, to block Republicans in Congress from keeping our government open, which does not help anyone, and it especially hurts the American people who depend on our government remaining open so they can access the critical services that our government provides to so many Americans across the country. So these conversations are continuing, but I think I just made the president's position quite clear.
Thank you. And then on the Saudi Arabian nuclear deal, what steps is the U.S. taking to get Saudi Arabia to sign the Abraham Accords?
Sure. Well, the president himself has spoken on this many times. His Truth Social post this morning, and I will read it for those at home who missed it. The civil nuclear deal, there will be no enrichment of material, an important point being made between the Department of Energy and Saudi Arabia, which pertains only to non-military use. Will be approved, but is totally subject to Saudi Arabia joining the very respected and successful Abraham Accords. The United States is not opposed to civil nuclear facilities, as we all know. Look, this is a condition that the president has spoken about many times with our Gulf and Arab allies. He wants to see these countries sign the Abraham Accord. It was one of the most historic accomplishments of his first term, and it continues to be a long-term goal of his to expand those accords to ultimately come to a place where the Middle East can be a peaceful and stable region. And yes, this deal with Saudi Arabia, the energy deal, is contingent on this condition as far as the president is concerned. So we'll continue to talk with our Saudi counterparts to get the deal finalized and hopefully see them joining the Abraham Accords very soon. Thank you. Gabe.
Caroline, thank you. With regards to the Saudi nuclear deal, why was that condition not mentioned yesterday when the Energy Secretary announced it?
Well, look, the president is always the final deal maker, as you know, and this is something that he has mentioned on numerous occasions going back. I can provide you with those statements, and he has said if they don't join the Abraham Accords, the deal is off. So we'll continue to have those conversations with our Saudi counterparts moving forward.
So the deal is dead if Saudi Arabia doesn't join. And have you any
No.
indication that Saudi Arabia is even considering this?
Again, the president has spoken directly with the Saudis about this in numerous conversations in the past, and the administration will continue to engage in those conversations.
Will Saudi
Alexandra.
Arabia be exempt from international inspections as part of this deal if it moves forward?
I don't want to comment on the specifics of the deal as we're still, again, as I just said, talking especially about this very important condition that the president raised this morning. Alexandra.
So good to see you now that you're back.
You too.
So Treasury Secretary Bessent voiced concern this week on China potentially distilling or stealing AI technology from the United States, kind of manipulating it as their own. Anthropic said that the largest distilling attack happened last month. Do you think this will come up when the president meets with President Xi in September?
Well, I have had the honor of being part of some of the meetings and discussions between President Trump and President Xi, and I can tell you there is always a wide range of topics that come up. I would imagine this would be something that's of high importance to the president and of this administration to obviously ensure that America remains dominant in the AI race, and we're obviously tracking the particular situation that you mentioned.
I have one more if you don't mind. This week we've seen some major players in Democrat politics voicing or alerting really on how much influence socialism, communism has had now on kind of mainstream Democrat politics. Is there any chance that the president would be interested or is considering working with left of center Democrats to push back on this?
Well, unfortunately, we don't seem to have too many of those left in the Democrat Party. We have literal self-proclaimed communists who are winning elections and who are claiming to be the new leadership of the Democrat Party. I think the vast majority of Americans understand the dangers of communism. Just look at countries all over this world. As an example, Cuba right now is a country that is about to be a failed state because of the communist policies of the past several decades. Communism should never be allowed to lead this country, and the president obviously is strictly opposed to it and all the dangers that it reaps. We've seen it happen across the world. Meredith.
Just to continue on the Saudi nuclear deal, do the Saudis agree with this interpretation since it wasn't part of the initial agreement? And has the president talked to MBS since this new condition was announced?
As you know, the president just put out this statement a few hours ago. I don't believe he's had a call with MBS in the hours since. However, this is something that he has raised in previous conversations and has also said many times in the past. John, in the back, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Carolyn. In regards to this deal, in the past, the Saudi government has said they will not consider entering into the Abraham Accords unless under.
What I think, Chad, for her to resign, her and Trump didn't agree on something. And what I'm trying to figure out in this last press conference, did she say something that Trump didn't like? And they had a little back and forth and they couldn't come to an agreement. And, you know, they decided to part ways. Because I think this is like what, Chad? The fourth or fifth person that has resigned out of the Trump administration. So I'm trying to figure out, hopefully they let us know, you know, what happened. We probably never know, but I want to know what happened, you know, why she decided to part ways. Maybe it's because, you know, they didn't agree about something. What y'all think about that, chat? Decided to resign.
Until there's a Palestinian state. What makes you think that they're going to change their minds on their position regarding that?
Again, I won't get ahead of the president's conversations, but this is something that he feels very strongly about and has spoken about it in the past and will continue to uphold.
Can I ask you one other question? Sure. Just playing devil's advocate, why does Saudi Arabia get a civilian nuclear deal, but Iran doesn't get a civilian nuclear deal?
Well, again, this agreement is still being worked out. Well, it will eventually, hopefully, be finalized with the condition that the president spoke about this morning. But this agreement in particular, as it's been discussed thus far, does give priority access for American companies in the Saudi nuclear energy program, which will ultimately benefit American industry workers and supply chains. So the deal that has been discussed thus far and will continue to be discussed absolutely puts America first, and that's obviously very important to this president. Ed.
Thanks, Caroline. So Friday, the Section 122, the 10% global tariff, goes away. Is the president going to ask Congress for an extension, or what's next?
Well, I know the USTR, our great Jameson Greer, trade representative, will be having an announcement on that very soon, later today. I don't want to get ahead of him, so I would just tell you to stay tuned for more details.
Okay, and then one more on the president's going to have some big utility companies at this event later on today. We're now a year and a half, so to speak, into his pro-energy policies. Is he going to pressure those executives to lower energy prices, not just maintain the prices?
Well, look, as I mentioned earlier, the Ratepayer Protection Pledge is a novel idea drawn up by this president, his team, to ensure that data centers in communities, where those communities want data centers, that these big CEOs and energy companies are picking up the tab for the energy costs in these communities, so the American taxpayer not being fronted with those bills. And the pledge today is being expanded to acknowledge all elements involved in building and operating data center, the governors who appoint the state regulators who set the power prices, the utilities and the co-ops that sell the power, and in addition to the tech companies that have already signed the pledge. So you'll continue to hear more about that from the president in a few hours at 2:30 when he goes over to the EPA. Sophia.
Have you spoken to the president about what he wants to do about Chinese AI models if they are found to have stolen American IP? Does he want to sanction them? Or what actions can be taken without undermining broader U.S.-China trade talks or cutting off American startups that are increasingly reliant on them?
Sure. Well, I won't get ahead of the president on any potential actions, but obviously these conversations are taking place, and again, they're of the utmost importance, not just for our national security, but to ensure America remains dominant in this space. Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions. Has President Trump spoken with FIFA President Gianni Infantino about his interest in nominating him for UN Secretary General? And can you explain his interest there? And secondly, just a minor point of clarification on the Saudi nuclear deal. Did Prime Minister Netanyahu request this provision?
Not to my knowledge, no. Again, as I told you, this was an idea the president has long had. It was the president and his team in the first term that began and signed the Abraham Accords with several countries in the region, between those countries and Israel. And the president obviously wants to expand on that historic accomplishment from his first term. To your first question about Gianni Infantino, I don't know if he and the president have discussed that. I haven't been present for all their conversations. I know they speak quite frequently, and the president has a lot of respect for Gianni and what he has done with FIFA, as we
appreciate y'all for being in the chat. We've been holding over 75 people in the chat now for about 30 to 45 minutes. Y'all please do me a favor and double tap the screen. If you've been in here past 10 minutes, please double tap the screen. If you've been in there past 2 minutes, please double tap the screen. You know, when we get to watching this, when we get to watching these streams, even me, sometimes I forget to hit the like button. So, I mean, y'all do me a favor, double tap the screen. If you've been here past 2 minutes, you know, you should have already double tapped the screen. But, you know, sometimes we forget to double tap the screen. You know, I do too. When I'm watching my favorite content creators, I forget to double tap the screen. You know, so y'all please do me a favor. Double tap the screen is good for the algorithm. It helps the channel out. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Appreciate everybody for commenting. We're going to finish this stream out. We got a football game tonight, and I will be live streaming for the game. So would y'all also do me a favor? Because I also do commentary for football and UFC fights and, you know, different sporting events. Y'all please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel and cut on the notification bells, and then come rock with me when I'm doing these sporting events. If you like football, if you like sports, come kick it with me.
Y'all just saw the World Cup was a tremendous success here at home. It not only was hugely beneficial to our businesses and our local economies across the country, but I think it showed that America is the greatest country on earth, and the president is grateful to Gianni for all of the efforts that he had to make that dream a reality here in the United States. Danny.
Thanks, Caroline. Is President Trump or the administration, do they have any plans to intervene in the extradition process for the Tate brothers?
No, we've already answered that question. Elizabeth.
Thank you, Caroline. Secretary Mullin said that election officials that knowingly allowed non-citizens to vote could be prosecuted and fined. Is this option being considered in New Jersey after the governor revealed that thousands of non-citizens were registered to vote there?
Well, for any prosecutions, obviously, I would always defer you to the Department of Justice. But what I will say on New Jersey and this governor, the fact that she just all of a sudden decided to put out a press release saying President Trump and Republicans have been right about non-citizens on our voting rolls is not a coincidence. I think this governor is saying this because she realizes this administration is serious about getting to the bottom of illegal aliens voting and being on our voter rolls in our country. The Secretary of Homeland Security, as you know, sent a letter to several states, including New Jersey, requesting that non-citizens that are on their voter rolls need to be reported to DHS and need to be removed from those voter rolls. So that's why all of a sudden she is speaking truth about the fact that this does take place in states across the country. It is completely unacceptable to have non-citizens on American voter rolls voting in U.S. elections. And she says it's 6,600. We suspect it's a heck of a lot more, not just in New Jersey, but in states across the country. The president is hell-bent on getting to the bottom of this, and it's also why we need to pass the Save America Act to ensure that only U.S. citizens are voting in U.S. elections. And I understand the House had a great accomplishment yesterday with passing the budget resolution, which has as much of the Save America Act as possible, and we encourage the Senate to move forward with passing that resolution into law so the president can sign it into law by the August recess. It's of the utmost importance to this president, but also to the American people who support this bill overwhelmingly. Mary in the back.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions, one on Sophia Cunningham and then on self-driving cars.
Sure.
Sophia Cunningham in the WNBA has been attacked as a MAGA Barbie for saying it's common sense for men to not be in women's sports and locker rooms. Is the president following this story, and has he reached out to her?
I don't believe he has reached out to her. I know he is following the story. As you know, this is something the president feels strongly about as well, and the American people do too, that men should not be playing in women's sports. It's completely ludicrous that anyone could support that. It's even more ludicrous that you do have Sophia Cunningham, a female athlete herself, very accomplished in her own right, coming forth and speaking that truth that men shouldn't play in women's sports. We want to protect women and girls, and the backlash she is receiving from Democrats and left-wing figures across the country is astonishing. They are clearly very out of touch with the American public on this issue, which again is an 80-20 issue. It's common sense. It's rooted in basic biological fact that men should not be competing against women on playing fields across the country.
Thank you. Self-driving cars. There's legislation right now to ban China's self-driving car technology from U.S. roads. Does the White House have a position on this? And broadly, how does the president feel about self-driving cars himself?
Well, you know, the president did have a red Tesla here at the White House for quite some time, so he's a supporter of them. I know he's purchased some self-driving cars for his family members, his grandchildren, so I think he supports them and Americans who want to drive them. But with that said, I don't know about the specific legislation. I will check in with our Legislative Affairs Office and we'll get you.
Ashley says, be honest, doesn't she look like Jim Carrey and Grinch? Man, let's see. The Scat Man, Ignorant Channel. Now, Scat Man, we have a lot of smart people that come over here in this channel. Obviously, you know, obviously you knew. It's a lot of smart, intelligent people that come over here and rock with the channel.
Do a statement on that. Reagan.
And I mean a lot.
One question for you on Thune and then one on Darlene Graham. The president seemed yesterday frustrated with Leader Thune when he was speaking in Georgia. Is his patience running out with Leader Thune? And then
The president recently endorsed Darlene Graham right after her appointment to Senate. What caused him to endorse her so quickly?
The president met with Darlene and thought she will be a great representative for the great people of South Carolina and will carry on her brother's legacy of public service in that beautiful state. So the president is fully supportive of Darlene in her honorable decision to run and, again, to continue her brother's legacy. With respect to your first question on, remind me?
Leader Thune, if his patience is running out.
Look, the president spoke about this directly yesterday. His patience is running out. He wants to see as much of the Save America passed as possible by the August recess. He knows that's what the American people want to see passed. He was just traveling on the road yesterday, spoke about this, and there was a very loud applause from the people in the audience, the everyday Americans, because voter ID is common sense. They want proof of citizenship in our elections, and the president feels very strongly about that. And I would just add, the American people elected overwhelmingly Republicans to lead not just this White House, but also the House and the Senate. The House did its job. The Senate needs to do its job too. I know it's a brief briefing today, but you're going to hear from the president directly twice today at 2:30 and also at 4:30. And we will see you all tomorrow night at the Correspondence Center.
Well, chat, I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me, chat. We held pretty much over 75 people in the chat this whole time. Wait, hold on, chat. Hold up. I got a lot going on over here. All right, let me turn that off. I accidentally hit a button. Hold on, chat. She quit because Trump left her on the jet with the press. Wow. That's the first time I heard that. Wow. Well, what happened was, all those people were left on the jet, and they secretly got Trump off of the plane and moved him to another plane, and they didn't even know. So we got to look into that chat. Where's that at? Where's that comment at? She quit because Trump left her on the jet with the press. Man, we got to look into that. We got to look into that, chat. The Jim Carrey comment is not that serious. Right, New York. Right, New. It's just a joke. Where you at? The scat man. It's just a joke, bro. Don't. It's not that serious. It's just a joke. She is a beautiful woman, Some people might think Jim Carrey is beautiful. So it's just the Freedom of Speech channel. The scat man, It's just a Freedom of Speech channel, Just a little joke, I thought it was kind of funny. Just a little joke, that's all. Don't get offended. The scat man, don't get offended. Don't get offended, bro. Just a little joke. This the Freedom of Speech channel over here. You can come over here and speak your mind. So, just a little joke, that's all. It made me laugh a little bit, But of course, she's a beautiful woman. She's a beautiful, intelligent woman. We all know that. But just a little joke. That's all. Nothing to get offended about. And if you did get offended, we apologize, the scat man, because that's not the goal over here. We don't like to offend people, but at the same time, it's the Freedom of Speech channel. And when people have the freedom of speech to speak their mind, our soldiers and our great military guys put their life on the line. So we can speak our mind, crack jokes and things like that. That's what America is all about. The freedom of speech. And we with the freedom of speech 1,000% over here. That's why we don't block nobody over here. You have the freedom of speech. I don't want to suppress nobody's thoughts. I want you to speak your mind. Crack a joke. Sometimes people need to hear, jokes. We got to lighten up a little bit. Sometimes, chat, some of us have to just lighten up a little bit. Just lighten up a little bit. People come in the chat and crack jokes on me all the time. All the time. And hey, it's just the internet. It's just the freedom of speech. Does somebody think I'm ugly? If somebody think I'm an old man, hey, that's how they feel. They have the freedom of speech. Yeah. So I appreciate everybody for rocking with me, chat. I will go live later on. There's a football game coming on tonight. Today is August the 13th. We got 2 days before my birthday, August the 15th, which is going to be a lovely day. We got UFC coming on, and if you've been rocking with the channel, I am probably the best UFC fan out there. I said it. I'm UFC's #1 fan. So Saturday, August the 15th, we got a great show for the UFC. And I will be going live tonight for the football game. And I also will be going live for the UFC. So come over and rock with me. I do commentary. When I'm doing my sports, I'm the coach. I'm the referee. I'm all the above. I'm the fan. I'm the commentator. I'm all that. So yeah, man, I hope y'all have a great morning. I appreciate everybody for coming through rocking with me. Hey, what's up, ATM Tim? What's going on, ATM Tim? Appreciate everybody for coming through rocking with me, man. Everybody that's cracking the jokes. I love and I appreciate y'all, man. I've learned, chat, from being on this internet, and I've learned from a lot of guys, that I have learned from on this internet since I started going live. I've learned a lot from the guys. ATM Tim is one of them. I've learned a lot from, a lot of this stuff. I learned how to be humble. I've learned how to not take things so serious. I've learned how to laugh a little, laugh at the jokes, laugh at different things that people say in the chat. Not be so serious about any and everything. I've learned a lot. Taught me how to loosen up a little bit. It's okay to loosen up a little bit on this internet. Because guess what? It's entertainment. It's entertainment and it's education, at the same time. A lot of people that come in and rock with us on the channel, a lot of people throw out great educational stuff. Some people throw out, jokes. And that's what the Freedom of Speech channel is all about. That's what it's all about. So with that being said, I love and I appreciate y'all. Everybody that's been rocking with me, I love and I appreciate y'all. Everybody that's been rocking with this channel for a long time, I love and I appreciate y'all. So with that being said, I am your host, the one and only Stock Sniper. This is the Freedom of Speech channel. Everybody that's watching on Kick, Twitch, Rumble, 2 YouTube channels going on at the same time. The Freedom of Speech channel and Uncle Buddy. So with that being said, I love and I appreciate y'all. Happy birthday, brother. God will bless you with many more years. Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. This is the Freedom of Speech channel. I am your host, the one and only Stock Sniper. Earn, spend less, and make proper investments. And yes, lighten up a little bit and not being so serious about every single thing in life. It's kind of an investment. It's good on your health. Not being so uptight about everything. Laugh at some things. That is an investment. It's good on your mental health. It's good on your spiritual health. Especially in these days and times. So with that being said, I love and I appreciate y'all, chat. The game is tonight. I hope y'all come rock with me. To the next one. I'm out.